not just from feminists, but from regular women as well. I've actually went and heard women go and say that when they go and break up with a guy, they don't let him down easy. They go and let him drop hard, and then they move on with their life. The reason they do this is because they say that, well, I just don't have the time to go and let him down easy. So I'm just going to go and get it over with and move on with my life. And while that's very convenient for you, you gotta feel sorry for the guy. He just had his heart ripped out by someone that, up until a few minutes ago, he actually cared about and had respect for. And if you think that I'm just saying it because I'm a guy, no. Reverse it, alright? Imagine for a moment that a woman had an interest in a guy and the guy responded with, well, sorry baby, but I got no interest in you. I'll go and fuck your brains out, but that's about it. Other than that, all you are is going to be just another cheap lay. Leave it on, tits. Well, okay. Well, if a girl went and heard that, gee, I wonder what would happen. Yeah, the guy'd be an asshole, wouldn't he? But apparently, when you do this as a woman, suddenly you're empowered. You're a strong and independent woman who doesn't need to worry about the feeling of others and knows what she wants. And I'm just sitting there like, you gotta be kidding me. There is a difference between being assertive and standing up for what you want and just being a complete and heartless bitch. However, here's the sad thing of it. A lot of women confuse being a bitch with being assertive. They're not the same thing. There is a difference. Being a bitch means you're just self-centered, and being assertive means you do worry about your own feelings, but you also give a damn about those around you. It's not just all about you, Mrs. Entitled. You know who I'm talking about. That little princess who believes that, oh no, the entire world ought to revolve around them, that they're the only one that matters. Anyone who doesn't agree, well, it must be something wrong with them. And they are actually women who will endorse being a bitch as a good thing. And while I could come up with my own arguments about why someone would want to go and be a bitch and everything, you know, just looking at all the positive stuff, let's be honest. Instead of reinventing the wheel, let's go and take it from someone who has already set things in motion and then wants to go and pass off being a bitch as a good thing, shall we? Because by deconstructing something, we end up understanding it better. In other words, I want to go and bring about why these positives are actually, in reality, a negative. Reason number one, you can be honest. Most of the time, if you are stating your mind without holding back, you are considered to be a bitch. If your friends ask if you think her dress makes her look fat, and you say yes, you might seem bitchy, but you are just being honest. That is one of the best reasons it is great to be a bitch. You can speak your mind and be honest without caring about the consequences. Okay, already we have a problem here. I can understand about being honest. I have Asperger's. My weakness is that I'm too honest. I'm not kidding. I will tell you what I'm thinking, whether you want to hear it or not. And because I can relate to this here, I can tell you already, being honest with someone is not always a great thing to be. Sometimes it's better you keep your mouth shut. I have found this out time and again. The people who know me understand that I'm just trying to be honest and I'm not trying to be hurtful. And yet, whether or not that I am going for honesty, I understand that, yeah, I am hurting them inadvertently. Not intentionally, but I am still causing harm. And the thing of it is that even if you're being honest, there's also the way you say it. For example, I don't like kids at all. And I could go on and on and on about it, but to a lot of people who have kids, they're not going to really like that. And in order to go and function every day in society, if I'm talking to someone who doesn't understand me, doesn't know where I'm coming from, I'm going to have to go and soften up what I'm going to say. No, it's not always easy because my instinct is to go and just tell the truth and let things be what they are. However, you can't always do that. So in my case, I'd be saying something like, look, I don't ever want to hurt kids. I don't want to go and be mean to them. but at the same time, they run around, holler, yell, scream, make noise, get into stuff, and I don't have the patience for that. I just don't. So, while I would never be mean or hurt a kid, I don't want anything to do with them either. Just leave me alone. I'd say it's something like that because it means about the same thing. It's just that the person's reaction to me isn't going to be like, get this weirdo away from me and my children before I go and punch his lights out. I've been told this before, that if you go out in public and say you don't like kids, people will treat you like there's something wrong with you. Because I just come out right and state it. I hate kids. That's all I say. Start to finish. I hate kids, and the people around me know what I really mean. But those who aren't familiar, they're going to look at it in a different way. So you can be honest, but sadly, by being honest, that's a pretty good way to go get punched in the face. It's kind of like pointing at a fat person and saying, hey, he's fat. You know, like what a little kid would do. Little kids have a tendency to point out the obvious, okay? If someone's, like 300 pounds overweight, the kid's going to point at him and say, look at the fat man! And then probably laugh and all, because to him that's funny, and to everyone else it's really insulting and it's really embarrassing if you're the kid's parent. But still, I believe I've made my point. Yeah, being honest is a good thing, but anything good can be corrupted, is what I'm saying. So, moving on to the next one, step 2, you are confident. Another amazing perk of being a bitch is that you exude tons of confidence. Being a bitch means walking around like you own the place. You know you are awesome, and you like everyone around you to know as well. So next time someone calls you a bitch, thank them. They just called you confident. No. No, they did not. You can be confident and not be a bitch. Okay? Being confident means you're self-assured that you know what you're doing. That you got things well planned and you are on top of things. However, when you go and say that, well, yeah, being a bitch is confident, yeah, no, not really. It's not confidence, it's overconfidence. Okay? Being confident's fine. Being overly confident is bad. Here's why. When you're overly confident, what happens? Oh, that's right. You end up taking off more than you can chew. You can't ever admit that you need help. You're going to be one of those people who says that they can do it all. They can do everything themselves. They don't need anyone's help. And what happens is they usually end up being resented, hated, and people tend to laugh when they fail. That's just the way it works. So, being a bitch means you're confident. Yeah, you are, but it's in the worst reason possible. Sometimes eating humble pie can be the best thing for you. Reason number 3, you don't need approval. Bitches don't really care what others think of them. You will say and do what you want to, regardless of others' opinions. There is a certain freedom that comes along with being a bitch and not being held back by others. Okay, another problem. While this all sounds good up front, there is a time you should care about approval, okay? For example, if I were to go out and I were to go and just insult the boss's daughter, wife, or whatever, and be like, yeah, well, what does it matter? You're just my employer. Wow, suddenly I'm without a job. Not only that there, but if you're going to go on and say, well, I don't need your approval. Well, okay, what if you do need it? Seriously, what if you're going to do something and what you're going to do requires another person's permission? I'm pretty sure you stole my stuff and I'm going to get it back, and since you're not going to give me approval, well, I'll just wait till you leave, go through your shit, and get my stuff back. Okay, possession is 9/10 of the law, I understand this. And you may be going for your stuff, but you're going into this other person's house and going through this other person's things. Even if they stole it, you would still be guilty for breaking and entering and rifling through other people's possessions. So if you're going to say you don't need approval, well, there are certain things where you do. And even if you don't strictly need approval to do something, guess what? Sometimes the people who are telling you not to do something aren't doing it as in, no, you can't do it. They're saying, no, you shouldn't do it because I care about you. I don't want you to get hurt. I think what you're doing is a very bad idea, and it's going to have negative consequences. These kind of people who do this, what usually ends up happening? Well, if you're lucky, a few of them succeed. But in reality, a lot of people, they just end up failing because they took one risk too many. It's kind of like playing a legal form of gambling that's known as the stock market. Here it is, people are throwing how many thousands of dollars into it, hoping to go and strike it rich, and what do you know? Quite a few of them end up going bust. So somebody who understands the stock market really well, knows about what's going on, they could go and tell you, no, don't invest in this because you'll end up losing everything. And you're like, oh no, I want to do it anyway because I don't need your approval. Well, okay, so you invested everything in it and you lost everything when the company went way into the red. Well, okay, what are you going to do now? You could have listened to that person, but the thing of it is you didn't, and now you're broke. And also, that person now probably doesn't care much for you because you just insulted them from where you mouthed off. No, seriously, think about it. If I tried to help someone and they smart off at me, I'm going to be like, well, you made your bed, now sleep in it. Reason number 4, you get what you want. Hedonism, anyone? When women are working to get what they want in the workplace, they are considered bitches. It has been since time after time with women like Hillary Clinton who are considered bitches because they are tough in the office. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Bitches in the boardroom are becoming more and more common, and it is more acceptable to be a bitch to be successful. Okay, in the boardrooms and politics, yes, going out of your way to get what you want can be a good thing, as long as you don't value the personal relationship with these people. You follow? Apparently, yes, you're going to get what you want. Maybe. If you do get what you want, well, if you had to go and ruin your relationship with people, well, that's great as long as you don't care about them. So as long as you don't care about people, and how they view you and what they think about you, yeah, this is great. But if you want to go and have any close friends or trusted coworkers who you can talk to after work, that's going to be entirely different. Also, while it's good in certain circumstances, doesn't mean it's always good in every circumstance. Getting what you always want. Yeah, let's see, what could be wrong with this? Ever had a kid? Ever gave your kid whatever it wanted just to shut it up from hollering, screaming, and crying? What happens? Oh, that's right! It continues to holler, scream, and cry whenever it doesn't get what it wants. Because it has learned that when it hollers, screams, and cries, it gets what it wants. So it's going to continue to holler, scream, and cry to get what it wants. Alright. Well, if you're a grown adult and you've learned from childhood that being a little drama queen gets you what you want, what's going to happen? Yeah, that's right. People are going to get sick of it eventually and say, you're out. We don't care. If you want to be a little drama queen, go for it. But you're not doing it here. Either you learn to work in a group and learn that it's not all about you, or we're kicking you out. So to sit and say, oh, well, I get what I want, well, okay, you're not growing as a person. In fact, you're still stuck in the early childhood of development. You are doing yourself no favors here, okay? That's what I'm getting at. You are essentially a child at mind because you haven't learned that you don't always get what you want, and sometimes that's a good thing, and even if it's a bad thing, guess what? That's part of growing up. Step 5. You can be assertive. Going along with getting what you want, if you are assertive, you are probably considered a bitch. You know what you want, and you are not afraid to be assertive to get it. You will speak up in meetings, tell your friends what you actually think, and you will send food back if the waiter messed up. I know I've already gone over this, but this person hasn't realized that assertiveness and being a bitch are two entirely different things. Being assertive means you stand up for yourself, but you learn to go and give and take, okay? Even if you don't get your way, you at the very least learn to give in when it's beneficial to do so. Okay? And not only that there, but when you're assertive, usually you do have some form of manners. You're not like, hey, my food is cold. Go and take it back. Oh, and by the way, this wine, it tastes awful. Go and get me something else. You don't act like that. You go and say, hey, waiter, yeah, my food is a bit undercooked. Can you take it back and heat it? Also, I don't know what's wrong with the wine. It may just be me, but I'd like to go and have something different because this tastes really horrible. Can you please go and give me something else? You go and act like that, and you come off as a better person, and the waiter does not want to go and spit in your food, or worse, when he brings it back. 6. You don't need to apologize. People may be offended that you are a bitch, so let them be offended. If they can't deal with you as you are, you blow it off. To be a bitch means that you are not sorry for the way you act. You are going to be yourself, and you should not apologize for it. Yeah, right. Look, you should learn how to apologize. You should be able to learn to admit fault. When someone goes around and they don't admit fault, what happens? People end up despising them because they're always so self-righteous, they're always right, everyone else is wrong. They're insufferable and no one wants to put up with them. So if you want to go and be friendless, live a solitary life with your cats, by all means, don't apologize for anything. It's always someone else's fault. It's never your fault. It's always someone else's. And you know it's always someone else's because you say so and you're right. In fact, because you go and say so and you're right, that means, therefore, can't be wrong on anything, and it must be someone else's fault for not being able to read your mind and do as you intended. In short, learn to apologize, learn to admit fault, learn to go and realize when you're, and I only mean when you're wrong. If you're wrong and you know it, say so. Admit that you're wrong. People will understand that you messed up and they won't be mad at you, and they'll probably just go and continue on like normal. Because what happens is, from my experience, if you don't admit that you screwed up, the people who know that you screwed up, they're going to come to resent you and hate you. And like I said, as long as you don't care about other people's feelings, well, okay, you can go ahead and be as much of a bitch as you want. But don't ever look to these people to help you out when chips are down. No, seriously. The minute things go wrong for you, the very people that you've been stepping on and insulting and everything else, guess what? They're probably going to end up stabbing you in the back as soon as they get the chance. Number 7, you don't have to hold back. Being a bitch means that you get to show all of you. You are not afraid to hold back on your opinions, hold back on doing what you want, or hold back on having fun. Being a bitch means living your life to the fullest with a no-holds-barred attitude. I would consider myself a bitch, and my friends probably would too. But I am not ashamed of it. I am proud to be a bitch, and I fully enjoy all the perks of being a bitch. What do you think are some other reasons it's great to be a bitch? Would you consider yourself to be a bitch? Do you think it's okay for someone to be a bitch? You have already went and heard this video, people. You already know my opinion on this. And obviously, no, I do not go and believe anyone should be one. Also, as far as holding back goes, yeah, here's the thing about it. As I said earlier with being honest, sometimes knowing when to shut your damn mouth will help you. And again, I'm speaking from experience here, people. Where I got Asperger's and I tend to go and say stuff before I fully think it out, I end up saying stuff that has gotten me into big trouble. And the only way that I could go and say that I got out of it is because people are aware that this is my behavior, this is my attitude, and they don't enjoy it, but they at the very least go and say, quit doing this, quit acting this way, you're not supposed to. And the fact they're actually willing to put time and effort into correcting what I'm doing means that they actually give a damn about what I'm doing, okay? I don't mean just my little incident back then. I mean, they go and realize they're actually trying to help me. And because of that, I'm actually trying to go and better myself as a person, even if by a little bit. by trying to go and remember, okay, don't say this, don't do that. And again, it always comes down to circumstances. Sometimes you can say this, sometimes you can't. I got Asperger's, so we know I'm going to screw this one up. The point is, I still try to act like a decent human being. Also, very important note. The person who wrote this, who's so proud to be a bitch, yeah, she is a bitch. A basic bitch. You know, the kind of person that's like, oh, I'm so this and I'm so that, I'm so fly, don't you wish you were me, and all this other crap, and they're just very normal, they're very mundane, they're very mediocre. They're not special is what I'm saying. They're just like anyone else out there. There are 1,000 people just like this person who has deluded themselves that they're special and unique when they're really not. Put simple, yeah, you can be a bitch as much as you want. But if you're going around thinking you're all that in a bag of chips, you're not. You're not. You're just a regular schmo who has an overinflated ego. In fact, I could go and take this entire article and rename it 7 Reasons It Is Great to Be an Asshole. And I wouldn't have to change a thing. No, seriously, just do a swap and replace real quick on WordPad. What do you know? Suddenly, when you read this stuff, it's like, hey, here's why it's great to be an asshole. You're honest, you're self-confident, you don't need approval, you get what you want, you can be assertive, you don't need to apologize, and you don't have to hold back nothing. Why? Because you're an asshole. It's all about you. That's all that matters. Just you and what you want and what benefits you. No one else matters. It's all you. Well, okay now. Tell me this here. If that one little word can be replaced and it all holds up true, tell me, who's going to go and applaud me for this? Who's going to go and say, oh yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, being an asshole is real good. Yeah, everyone should be proud to be one. That's right, absolutely no one. So, tell me this here. If me being an asshole, I'm not going to get any applause for it, I'm going to go and get insulted and told that what I said is bad and I should feel bad, then why would I support someone like this? Because she has tits and a vagina? And I know that I'm being an asshole here, but then again, this person's being a bitch. And before anyone gets mad at me for calling a woman a bitch, keep in mind, it's okay for me to call this woman a bitch. Why? Because she gets to call me an asshole in return. To me, that is fair. Would you not agree?